Today's video, I'm very excited to talk to you about using your tarot card of the year for spiritual growth. So today we're going to go over what your tarot card of the year is, how to calculate it, why I think it's instrumental in your spiritual growth and evolution and getting the most out of that each year, and why I actually now use the tarot card of the year more than my year ahead spread. So what is a tarot card of the year? A tarot card of the year is a tarot card that you get based off of adding your day of birth, your month of birth to the current year, and then deducing that down into a number which corresponds to one of the 22 major arcana. Well, 21 because the Fool's 0 and that doesn't really work out. But anyway, so why is this a good tool for spiritual growth? The reason I find this tarot card of the year to be so instrumental for spiritual growth is because that is what it is meant to represent. The tarot card of the year is meant to represent the evolution or the themes of evolution, the types of lessons that your soul is going through during the year. Now, depending on where you are in your life path, depends on how that archetype shows up for you. And the archetype can show up in many different ways throughout the entire year. The reason I find this so instrumental to understanding your evolution as a soul is because it gives us a tool not to predict, but rather to reflect. It is a lens through which we are able to reflect on what is happening and better understand what we can extract from that and carry forward as we evolve as people. So what do I mean by that? If we compare this to the year ahead spread, right? The year ahead spreads are so fun and I love doing them. I even offer them in my shop. You can get a year ahead reading, but my year ahead readings are a little different because they incorporate both of these things. Side note. When we look at the year ahead spread by itself, we're thinking of kind of an energetic prediction of what may be coming up for us within the next calendar year, within the next 12 months, whether you choose to do your year ahead spread on Samhain, the witch's new year, on your birth year, on Yule, on the spring equinox, on the calendar year, whenever you choose to do it, right? It's a way for us to forecast, like the weather forecast, the energies that are going to be happening for us for the next 12 months. So we can just have a heads up as to what may be coming our way, helpful reminders to kind of keep us on the right track, etc., etc. When we begin to look at the tarot card of the year, we're no longer looking at the micro picture of what energies are going to be coming up for us in everyday life. We're looking at the big picture. We're zooming out and saying, okay, I'm here. I'm a soul with a mission. I have a purpose. I'm here to grow. What am I working on this year? And how is that connected to the collective theme? As you live throughout your life, you will come across the same cards again and again. So if you don't master that card of the year that year, it's no need to panic because that lesson will come back around. And the other beautiful thing about this is they build on each other. So you're like stacking levels upon levels upon levels within your soul enrichment. And each year, as we go through the lessons of one card, it's not that the year before those lessons are complete. We actually learn the lessons and then put them into practice the next year. So for instance, the Strength card was my year for 2023. The next card for this year, for 2024, is the Hermit card for me. So while I spent 2023 exploring the archetype of strength, activating strength, building strength, needing strength. There was a lot that happened within the archetype for me, within my lessons, within my soul evolution in the past year. Well, I learned those lessons last year. They are now helping me as my superpowers because I'm integrating them into what I'm doing now. So it's fueling my evolution, right? It's not that I'm done with strength. It's that I played with, I learned with, I evolved into more of the strength archetype. And now that strength archetype gets to help me with my journey of the hermit. So how do you calculate your card of the year? There are two ways to do this. I'm going to teach you the way that I do it, but I'm also going to share with you the alternative way to do it, and you're welcome to do whichever method you prefer. You will get 2 different cards based on which method you use. You're welcome to do both and use both cards. I'm actually consider doing that this year because of the second card that I get. I feel like they go well together. So how do you do this? We get packages around this time? Hold, please. All right, Shadow's gonna stay outside. He's my dog, by the way. So how do you calculate your tarot card of the year? Your tarot card of the year, like I said in the beginning, is based on your birth date plus the year. So the way that I like to calculate this and the way that I learned to calculate it was based on the formula that was provided in the Tarot for Yourself book by, hold please, Mary K. Greer. This one. Fantastic book if you want to really go there with your deck. This is an interesting workbook. I haven't used all of the techniques provided in here, but she definitely gives you a lot to work with. So, recommendation in case you want it. But anyway, I learned this calculation method from this book by Mary K. Greer. You take your month of birth. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I was born in November, so you take 11. I was born on the 17th, the day, so you take 17. So the month, the day, and then the current year that you're calculating for. So in my instance, this would be 2024. So you add 11 plus 17 plus 2024. Which would be, maths, 12, carry the 1, 1, 3, 5, would be 2052. So 2052. Okay. Then you take these numbers, because obviously there's not 2052 cards in the tarot deck, right? There's only 21 possibilities plus the Fool of 0. So we add these numbers together. So 2 plus 0 plus 5 plus 2 equals 9. And don't worry, I have a free printable for you that I'm going to leave linked down below that walks you through this whole thing. So if that was too fast, if holding it up didn't work, don't worry. That resource is there for you. So that's how I like to do it. And I have done this for years past as well. So I've gone back and calculated tarot cards of the year based on past years. And it doesn't always happen in a succession. Sometimes you'll have a progression of cards. Like last year it was Strength. The year before for me was a Chariot. This year's a Hermit. At some point that will shift and it will go out of order. So always make sure that you're doing the calculation so you get the right card. Even if you're like, oh, I know what I had last year, So anyway. The second way that you can do this calculation is the way that numerology is typically done. So what I mean by that is you take the same numbers, right? So you take your month of birth, 11 for me. You take your day of birth, again, 17 for me. and the current year, 2024. But instead of adding them like this, which we just did to get one big number, right? You add them together like we did in this final step. So you add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 7 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4. Now I'm doing this in the air, so I apologize for the chicken scratch and the fact that it may be out of focus. But that's what we do. So then we 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2, plus 1, 3, plus 9, 12, plus 2, 14, plus 2, 16, plus 4 is 20, which would give me card 20, which would be the judgment card. Which is surprising to me because I thought when I did this it came out as a moon. But anyway. That is how you can do it the other way. So like I said, you can calculate it the first way I showed you, like I found in this book, like I've been doing for years. It's also the calculation you will find in the free printable journal and guide to working with your tarot card of the year, which I will leave linked below for you. The second way you can do it is the typical way you calculate things in numerology, where you add each individual number together. And if you get a number that is larger than 21, so let's say I added all this together and I got 37 for some reason. Obviously, there's not a 37 number major arcana card. So we do it again. So we would add 3 to 7, which would give us 10, which would give us the wheel, which would be our card of the year. I hope that made sense. Wasn't too confusing. Wasn't too waving things in the air. But that's how you calculate your tarot card of the year. It's really, really easy and super fun. So now that you have your tarot card of the year, now that you understand the purpose of the tarot card of the year, what do you do with it, right? Because it's all well and good to be like, okay, my tarot card of the year is strength. Strength's keywords are this. Strength's archetype means this. The end. No. We get to go so much deeper with this. Okay, so I'm going to give you some ways that I like to work with my tarot card of the year. You'll also find, again, in that free printable for you, a whole list of ways that I like to work with the card. So don't feel like you have to furiously write anything down. So first, my tarot card of the year will become my significator card. What does that mean? I will see my card as a little nod. So when I'm pulling cards on a daily basis, right? Let's say I'm pulling a card and I'm wondering about, should I join this program? Should I get a reading from this person? Should I go here for breakfast tomorrow? I don't know why that was the example, but there you go. Sometimes we ask tarot questions like that. At least I do. And this is a terrible example because this is not a tarot card. This is a White Newman card from the White Newman tarot deck. There's 2 cards in here that aren't tarot cards. Let's say my card was the High Priestess. And as I'm doing this spread, the High Priestess comes out in the spread or in my series of questions that I'm asking. I know then that either that card is telling me that this particular decision that I'm trying to make will benefit my evolution as a soul, or that this is a moment in which I get to decide for myself and learn a lesson based on the archetype. So, for instance, here's a judgment card. Let's say I'm having a hard time sharing something specific online. Say, for example, I want to share my grimoire online, but I'm feeling nervous about it because XYZ. Maybe I don't know why I'm feeling nervous about it. I just feel scared to do it. And then I'm pulling cards, and I pull out the judgment card, and the judgment card happens to be my card of the year that year. It would be an indication that the source of the discomfort may be linked to a fear of being judged by others. And as with judgment being closer to the world, right, it would be beneficial for my evolution as a soul to stretch myself a little and to get cozy with the discomfort of the thought of being judged for something that I hold so sacred, and to explore what the possibility would be for me as my soul evolution, right? As an evolution as a person, if I chose to embrace the archetype of judgment in that moment and to allow myself to put it out there, allow it to be of service, allow it to be part of my enlightenment, and to shadow wants in. Where was I? Oh yes, so seeing your card as a significator for the year. So how else do you work with your tarot card of the year? There's all kinds of things to explore within the archetype of the card, right? Even as I just gave you that example of the judgment card, right? There's so many facets of a card that we can explore, and what that means for us in our evolution, and what hidden messages that has for us. It can also be a point of humor when that card does pop out, as a little nod from our guides of like, hey, remember this thing we're working on? Yeah, you know better. Or something like that. My guides are sassy like that because that's my personality, but Scorpio vibes. Anyway, what I like to do is I will dive into the card meaning all throughout the year from various sources. So let's say that I'm working with the White Newman Tarot, right? And I go in the guidebook and I look up the White Newman meaning alongside, you know, the RWS meaning, because that's the system that I like to work with. And then let's say, you know, later on down the road in the year, I'm working with the Horror Tarot. I just did a video about decks I've been working with recently, so they're all right here. So I would go in the Horror Tarot, and I would say, okay, so from the perspective of the Horror Tarot, it's going to be the last card. What does the Judgment card in that deck have to say? Like, what does the guidebook offer? Anything new? What new perspectives does the imagery offer? Here it is. Almost to the end of the deck. So we look at these together, right? And we look at their differences. We hope that they focus. There we go. So we look at the differences in the card, and we say, you know, what does this have to offer? We look at the guidebook, we jot that down, and I just kind of keep a running list of what is the different meanings of these cards. And if I pick up something in this card that adds to my overall understanding I've already been operating off of for the whole year, I add it to that understanding. What else can you do? You can use your tarot card in spell work to enhance spells that you're doing for your evolution as a soul, or to work with whatever, like that shadow work example of the Judgment, right? We could do a spell that has to do around healing wounds that have to do with being judged by others, or completing something, right? Because there's, again, so many different ways to interpret the card. Something else we could do is meditate with the card. We can journey with the card. So journeying with the card is when you go into a meditative state and you, in your mind's eye, walk into the landscape that is the card and look around and explore, talk to the figures, see what they have to say, what wisdom they have to share with you. So that can be a really fun one, again, to gain more insight into how that card is showing up for you. You can take the card and create card spreads or journaling questions that have to do with the card around it. You could do an entire card spread with this at the heart, saying, help me understand the archetype of this card better, and create a whole spread of kind of the understanding of the story of this archetype. So help me understand the Judgment archetype as it's appearing for me right now. Queen of Wands, that goes with our example, right? The passions. How am I being activated around Judgment within my passions? How does the Judgment card share her passions and her creativity and her vitality with the world? Right? Because the world is next. Get it? Anyway, we're getting a little silly now, but you get the point, right? So you can do that. There are a million other ways that you can work with it. Again, I have a whole list in that printable for you, but I hope that this gave you a great jumping off point to working with that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, because I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I didn't touch on it. I work with the Tarot card of the year in conjunction with my year ahead spread, and also as a tool for review. So we have a lot to unpack still. In my own personal and in my clients, what I do for my year ahead readings, and if you'd like to explore that more as well, you can, links are down below, but I will calculate the card of the year for the client, and then we will do a whole year ahead spread focused on this card. So what we do is we talk about the general energies of the year, things that are coming up, challenges, points of strength, advice from their guides, all having to do with how is this card showing up for me this year, which gives you a great jumping off point of, okay, this is my tarot card of the year, but this is how it's showing up for me, big picture in my specific life. Here's what my guides are saying about that. Here are some challenges that I have to do with that. And it really allows us to go super deep with that. And again, you can do this for yourself. And then I pull my regular year ahead spread for like the daily nitty gritty. I also like to, I don't do this for my clients, but with my clients, I provide them with a personalized card of the year printable journal. This is a printable journal to be used with your card of the year. Some of these exercises that are in here will be basic in your free printable journal down below. But with the personalized ones, it's personalized to your specific tarot card of the year. So the free one is general. The one that I give to my clients and you can purchase separately is specific to the card of the year. This is mine that I'm using for myself. So what I do is, like I said, I have that section in here where I go through and I will journal the meaning of the tarot card of the year within this, right? So when it's in balance, when it's out of balance, light, shadow, meanings, musings, etc., etc. Then I do my big picture reading. So this is my 2023 year ahead general reading for myself with all of my lovely notes that I did. I like to jot down what decks I used and things like that. Then I go into each specific month and I ask how the card, so how the Hermit card for my example this year, will be showing up for me this year in the month of January, February, March. And I do them quarterly. Once the month is over, I have reflection questions. This is so powerful with your card of the year because when, like I said at the beginning, when we're looking at a year ahead spread, we're looking at a general energetic forecast. When we understand the theme of our evolution as a soul through our tarot card of the year, we then have a lens to sit back and think, okay, over the past quarter, so January, February, March, when did my Hermit card show up? How did it show up for me? What spreads did it show up in? Did I have any synchronicities with it? Etc., etc. There are specific questions in here, but those are just a few examples for that. And then I reflect on that, and it allows me to think about my life through that lens and understand how I am actually growing and evolving and utilizing that archetype and to see how it's showing up and where I can step into that deeper in a hindsight integration kind of way. I feel like that's really where the magic comes in with the tarot card of the year, because it's not always about making it happen, right? We don't pick our tarot card of the year. Like, I'm not saying like, I'm going to be a hermit this year and make it happen. We just put it in the back of our mind as an awareness. And then as we walk along our path, in hindsight, we can see how that's showing up and how we're evolving based on that archetype, right? It can also be provided as a touchstone if we need it, but it's more something that we walk through rather than walk to. Does that make sense? So I like to do that. And then in these particular printables, there are card specific spreads that I've created. So I've created custom spreads for the card. I create custom spreads based on the imagery of the card. I create custom journaling questions based on the card themes. Getting tongue-tied now. We go all out, okay? Like, you get a reading from me, you get it all. But anyway, if you don't want a reading, or you already have a reading of the year, and you would like to work with a specific card of the year, and you don't want just the general free guide that I have below, like you want one specific to your card of the year, I'll leave that linked below. They're super affordable. I will even send you a little video of me musing on the themes of your card along with it. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But you don't need my printable guide. You can 1000% calculate your own card, use it, understand it, run with it, explore it, play with it, create magic with it, do all of the beautiful things that you can do with your tarot card of the year to further your evolution as a soul and to better understand what you are going through as you go through it, which is, I mean, the whole fucking point of living, right? To live a spiritually connected life is to create magic and to realize that you are the magic and to find ways to be reconnected with your divinity and thus more whole as a soul. I'm gonna go now because I'm gonna get preachy. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd love to hear in the comments below. What is your tarot card of the year? Have you calculated it? Do you already have my printable journal? Are you enjoying it? If you're interested in booking a reading, you can find all that information below. And know that I am sending you so much love. And I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.